Sometimes in Star Trek, there is an episode that is a disaster. As usual, the camera follows an extra 300 years in the future. People still grab a pregnant woman's stomach without asking, "Sorry, ladies, some things never change." Riker wants it to be named after the real father. He is a little slut, isn't he? Only Data asks to feel the baby kicking. All the way through, they are misgendering the baby. She never asked the doctor which of the two genders the baby will be. Shout out to this poor extra who had to drink blue water. Down in one of the cargo bays, Geordi confesses to his doctor that some of his body parts aren't working correctly. That explains why he can't keep a girlfriend. As usual, in the future, the only stage songs they sing are already a few hundred years old. The first point is lost here, since none of these barrels are secured in a cargo bay with a big door that opens up to empty space. Up on the bridge, the next point is lost since this tour would have started at the school, and the teacher would have introduced Picard to the kids and he would have seen their winning projects. And I agree with Jay Gordon. If the captain of the ship is taking you on a tour, the first place he should take you is the battle bridge. One point is lost for Deanna not going with Picard and the kids. In reality, the kids have probably already been all over the ship since there isn't much else to do. Another point lost since according to the lights, they are going up, and now they hit a giant pothole in space. One point lost, the turbolift should have automatically stopped, and another point lost since it falls when artificial gravity would be thrown out of whack. Obviously, O'Brien didn't grow up in California. If the ship is going through an earthquake, you should sit on the floor. O'Brien does Picard maneuver number 1. Is Ensign Monroe the first female in charge of the bridge? I got bad news for her. She is wearing a red shirt. You know what is coming next. O'Brien does Picard maneuver number 2. Mendel does Picard maneuver number 3. And Monroe is dead since the panel exploded on her. O'Brien sings his favorite Kenny Loggins song. 1 point lost for opening credits 6 minutes into the show. Picard blames the third baseman. The kids crying and saying everyone is dead is a problem rarely addressed, although Picard mentioned early on the dangers of kids on a spaceship. These poor little buggers probably think every time something happens on a spaceship they are going to die, and they could be right. It is possible that some of those killed in a firefight are kids. They are growing up with a terrible fatalistic philosophy and will be traumatized for life. Look closely. That is just a table Lieutenant Rowe is standing on, -1 point for a cheap effect. Rowe talks just like Riker. O'Brien does Picard maneuver number 4. Rowe thinks the first baseman is the duty officer, but now it is Deanna Troi, who has sat on the bridge for 5 years but still knows nothing about ship operations, and 1 point lost for wearing the catsuit to boost ratings. O'Brien says eyes 1 and 2. If quantum filaments turn out to be real, space travel will be impossible since they really tear up a ship, and 1 point lost for a Galaxy-class spaceship, not having battery-operated backup radios for a disaster like this. How did Data manage to order security to bring wounded to 10 forward? As usual, they do not follow the teachings of Yoda. It's hard to believe that no one else would be in the cargo bay. There are 1,000 people on the ship. Beverly says the wall is hot and Geordi says where, so -1 point, since his visor should have picked that up, and 1 point lost for a random plasma fire where there should be no plasma. Geordi also sings the Kenny Loggins song. Geordi performs Picard maneuver number 5. Even during a disaster, it's time for a drink. Again, they blame the third baseman. Or are they actually saying, I don't know? This poor little guy is rocking back and forth. He is going to explode soon. Always use the bathroom before a disaster. Picard does the right thing here by giving the kids a job. It will distract them from their impending death by falling turbolift in zero gravity. Look closely. Marissa already has holes in her collar where they did this scene before, so -1 point. The second and third officers should not be going through this crawl space. They should have delegated others in 10 forward to do this for them. Sometimes they really suck as leaders. The solution to stay away from the radiation is to move the barrels by hand. That's really stupid. -1 point for the cargo bay not having old-fashioned dollies to move things. 300 years in the future, they forgot what a wheel is. Deanna wants to know if the quantum filament is the worst thing in space. O'Brien says no, the worst thing possible is the narrator using an AI-generated voice. Deanna says, I hate it when that happens. O'Brien is quickly learning Deanna knows nothing about space. Then he learns Ro does whatever she wants. No wonder she went to jail. All he wants right now is for them to get into a good catfight. Seriously, how can they not contact engineering? It's really a bad idea to send out a distress call right now. The Klingons or Romulans might come in and clean house. So how big is a quantum filament? It must have an incredible charge that can short out the entire ship. The second and third officers are now stuck in the crawl space. Now they will never make it to the end of ship sex party in engineering. 1 point lost for Data's idea. It could kill him, and they should just wait it out. Inside the turbolift, Jay Gordon sees the clamp is broken. Picard tells Marissa to take the kids to safety and leave him to die. However, 12-year-old Marissa, in her first leadership position, stands up to the most powerful person on the ship.
Yes!
Which means they are all going to die together. Geordi wants to kill birds. He is already suffering from oxygen deprivation. He says opening the doors will suck the air out into space. He is wrong.
Correction, sir. That's blown out.
1 point lost for steps on the cargo bay transporter when you know they are going to be heavy objects. The next point is lost. Since there are no space suits inside a cargo bay that opens out into space, how stupid can you get? Since the power is out, Worf gets to set a broken bone the old-fashioned way. Keiko helps a woman put a cloth on her cheek, like blondes don't know how to do that themselves. Keiko decided she's going into labor. Worf tells her she will have to wait until later. Ensign Ro has terrible suggestions. That's how she got promoted to be a terrible Admiral Kane. O'Brien says I number 3 and Picard maneuver number 6, and it looks like he is going to miss a good catfight. The next point is lost for the turbolift. Since they also go sideways, Picard and the kids should have looked for the first sideways corridor and stopped climbing, especially since Picard has a broken ankle. Another point lost for the turbolift car falling, since in reality, the artificial gravity is probably out as well. And 1 point lost for none of the doors opening manually. Obviously, the turbolift was a government contractor that was the lowest bidder. Personally, I would have preferred hearing about the laughing Vulcan and his dog, but the writers chose a centuries-old song that has no copyright claims. Do actresses get paid more to do baby delivery scenes? I feel sorry for them. Poor Rosalind Chow has to lay on her back with her knees up and legs spread with a man not her doctor or husband looking straight at her hoo-ha while cameras and lights aim at her, surrounded by tons of extras, and even though the scene only takes 5 minutes on the show, it probably took 4 hours to produce. No wonder she is pissed.
Push! I am pushing!
1 point is lost for the bad advice of holding in air during decompression, and 1 point lost for poor design. What kind of moron would have the open and close switches 30 feet apart? Back on the bridge, Ro and Deanna fight. Is this the first time Deanna sat in the captain's chair? Somewhere on the ship, a headless Data gets poked and prodded by Riker with dental tools. There are 1,000 people on the ship, but as usual, only 7 of them have jobs. You never know what is going on in engineering. This would have been a good opportunity for Barclay to have a part. Data saves the day. Ro and Deanna have a girl moment. Keiko blames the third baseman for her pregnancy. Worf wants to smack the baby. It makes you wonder how much trouble the producers went to find a newborn for that scene. And 1 point is lost since the baby she is holding is a different baby. Worf says the baby looks like this guy, and you never know just how many levels they climbed before he could get a door to open. Back on the bridge, a point is lost for the reflection of a boom mic. The kids bring Captain Picard a thank you plaque. It's nice to know that 300 years in the future, kids will again create things with their hands and not just check TikTok. And now they get a tour starting with the battle bridge.
Yes!
The show ends with Riker and Marissa saying eyes 4 and 5, so it's time for a final drink. Jana Marie Hupp was only on 2 Trek shows, but she got to sit in the captain's chair. She was also on Independence Day and Bones. Cameron Arnett was born in Haiti and was on The Forge and 80 other shows. Max Supera was Patterson. John Christian Grass was on Kindergarten Cop, Quantum Leap, Babylon 5, then joined the Marines. Erica Flores was on Step by Step, but spent most of her acting career on Dr. Quinn, and at 12 years old was the youngest first officer in Star Trek history. Disaster, an episode which shows 4 women in leadership positions while another gives birth, gets a score of 76%. Be sure to leave comments below, click the like button, the share button, and that subscribe button, and tune in next week for the game.